One of my favorite books is Business at the Speed of Trust, written by Stephen Covey. In this book, Mr. Covey has a very simple premise. The more trust we build, the faster and better we move in the world of business. I would go past that and say the more trust we have, the easier it is to work and be with others, and the more fun we have in life. Hi, I'm Josh Patrick, and I'm the founder of The Sustainable Business. Today, we're going to talk about just that, how you can consciously build trust and have your life become significantly more fun to live. So first, we need to know how important trust is in business. Without trust, you take 2, 3, or more extra steps with everything you do. I'm in the process of helping somebody sell a business, and the other side's attorney sent this letter of intent that was pages and pages and pages, and was one of the most one-sided documents we ever saw. So what they broke was they weren't caring about us at all. They weren't even thinking about us at all. They were trying to make this into a win-lose activity and not a win-win activity. Now, as a result of this, a deal that should have taken 30 to 45 days to get done is now moving towards 75 days, and it might take us 90 or 100 days to get it done, not because both sides don't want to do it, not because both sides aren't ready to do it, but because we have a lack of trust, and as a result, we're taking 2 or 3 or 4 extra steps in taking 2 days to 2 weeks extra time for every step of the process to make sure we're not missing anything because we just don't really trust the other side. Now, the challenge is we often feel trust slipping and we just don't know what to do. Too often, the trust is starting to slip. We can feel it, and often we can't put words to what we're feeling. Before I started using the trust formula, I had no idea why this feeling was happening. Now, I just look at the formula and can immediately point to where the issue is coming from and what I probably can do to help fix it. So when I do this, it gives me the opportunity to fix or rebuild any trust that's been lost. And the key here is to make sure you are brutally honest with yourself. If you're the problem, you have to fess up to this. If someone else is a problem, then get ready for a tough conversation. Because unless you have this conversation, working together will only become harder and harder and harder. Sometimes having a transparent conversation is a really difficult thing to do. When trust starts to slip, there's a good chance you'll feel the world is turning against you. It's really easy to see trust slipping away and not be able to name it. When this happens, we often feel the world is unfair. And if only others knew. If this is what you're feeling, you might want to look in the mirror. If there is a trust issue, you have to be responsible for what you've created. You need to see if you're blaming others for your problems or if you're justifying why you're acting in a particular way. Instead, you need to look in the mirror and tell yourself what you had to do with the issue you're having. The more honest you can be, the better the results you'll get. Now, we often can't change what others do, but we can change how we react to what others do, and we can change about what we do. So if the other person is giving you a problem and you're not having good trust, see what you can do to change it. See how you can have a conversation that will bring it out in the open. Now, these are tough conversations to have, but they're really important if you want to move at a reasonable pace going through your business life. So now let's move on to the magic formula that changed my life. Trust is something we can influence, and I do this by using a tool called the trust formula. This was introduced to me in the book, The Trusted Advisor, almost 20 years ago. The formula is simple, and I highly recommend that you memorize it and use it every day in your life. It starts with knowing how much of the following 3 things you have in place. First, competence. How good are you, or how good is the person you're working with at whatever you're trying to work on? Do they have a high level of competence, and do you trust that they can get you the result that you're looking for? If they don't, then we have a problem there. And we might need to find somebody else to help us or somebody else to come on the team. Number 2 is intimacy. How much do you care about me as a person? If I believe you don't care about me as a person, you're just trying to get what you want, I'm going to likely dig in my heels. Now, you don't want them digging in your heels, and you don't want to dig in your heels. So you might need to find some ways to have a conversation about, gee, How can I care about you as a person? What is it that you want? How can we make this into a win-win activity? If you're not working for win-win, you're going to have a really hard time having a high level of trust in what you're doing. And the third thing is reliability. How good are you doing what you say, when you say it, going to do it? Too often people tell me they're going to do something. They don't do it. I send them an email. I call them. They say they're going to do it. They still don't do it. I have to remind them 3 or 4 or 5 times to get something done, or they're constantly late with what they provide for me. I am not going to trust that person very much because they're just not very reliable. So if you do what you say you're going to do, when you're going to say you're going to do it, that goes a long way in building trust with others. The more you exhibit these 3 things above, the more someone's going to trust you. So now let's look at the 4th thing to measure, and this is what you divide those first 3 things by. You add the value you're bringing in the top 3, and you divide it by self-interest. How much is what you're talking about going to benefit you personally? The more it benefits you, the lower the trust goes. The lower it benefits you, the higher the trust goes. It's one of the reasons I really hate working by the hour or doing project fees, because I'm having way too many conversations about cost, way too many conversations about what you're going to pay me. And every time I have this conversation, I know for a fact that trust goes down, even if the conversation is I'm going to reduce your price. When I start the conversation, your trust level is going to go down. At the end of the conversation, your trust level go up, but the conversation itself is stress-inducing. So here's something I know. Losing trust often feels like it's unfair. Yeah, I get it. Losing trust often feels like the world is just unfair. Please get over this. Look in the mirror and use the trust formula. I can promise you that it'll make your life much better. Life is always better when you can be positive and do something to make things better. And the trust formula is going to help with this. So here's some strategies you can use to make sure you continue having high trust with others. So I hope by now you're ready to use the trust formula to make your relationships better. Here are 3 things you can do right away. First, download our free infographic on the trust formula so you can easily pinpoint where you're having a challenge with others. It'll show you how to use the trust formula and give you a chance to practice. 2, think about the people in your life you're having trouble with and look at the trust formula to see which of the 4 areas are causing you the most problems. Focus on whatever area that is. My bet is you're going to see your trust go up. And finally, make a conscious decision to improve the areas that can help build trust again. Work on building sufficiency and watch the trust you want rebuild. So here's a 4th thing you can do. After you look at the infographic, contact me at jpatrick@stage2planning.com to set up a time to talk about how you can use the trust formula in your business. This conversation is free, and it might be the most valuable 20 minutes you use this week. And while you're at it, scroll down and let me know what you think about becoming really active in using the trust formula in your company. Hey, this is Josh Patrick. You're at The Sustainable Business. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.